I'd like to take you back to the year 2018 and imagine a meeting room somewhere in an admin building of a university. It was actually in a meeting room close to where the marketing people sit and the international office people as well. And in that room were 3 people together. 2 of them were from the international office, and I was there as well. And I kind of had an idea of what these people who I was meeting for the first time were going to share with me. They had run a campaign specifically to recruit international students, and they had engaged their main marketing agency for that, which also runs their domestic campaigns. And the total budget was 20,000 euros. They were about 15,000 down on that budget for management and also for the advertising budget, and they did not have a single enquiry to show for it yet. Now, I'm not saying all other agencies or all marketers are bad or anything like that. Sometimes this actually happens when you do your own campaigns in-house or when a faculty goes out on their own. There are certain things that no matter whether you are operationally involved every day or just the person that commissions the campaign, you cannot afford not to pay attention to. And this is one of those things. So what we did at that meeting is actually I got to use the remaining 5,000 euros and we had to set up the campaign from scratch. We had to even build some new landing pages, so we were left with about 2,500 euros, a little over 10% of the original budget, and we got 42 targeted inquiries from that. So you see that how important this is. And one of the issues with the original campaign that didn't bring results was match types. So what are match types? To understand what match types are, keyword match types, you need to know that even up to today, so even after Google has been active for over 20 years, 15% of all searches that are happening on Google on a single day have never been seen before. So it's impossible to anticipate everything people are going to search, and a lot of those searches that were never seen before are going to be very close variants, maybe 2 words reversed or very specific terms added to the back. So they may actually be relevant for our campaign, but we cannot add queries there if no one even ever has thought about it before. That will be too much work. That's why we have match types, which allow us to define how closely what people searches needs to match to the keyword that we enter into the Google Ads interface. And also you can have negative keywords, which means that once that keyword is in there, then Google might not show your ad. And here is where things went wrong. This is a screenshot that I just took from no further, a campaign is not really relevant which one, but you see that Google has recommendations, and I take offense to one word in this recommendation here, which is the word upgrade. So Google is telling you upgrade your existing keywords to broad match, and broad match is a match type, so I'll explain later what broad match means. Sometimes broad match is the right thing to do, but you can't call this upgrade. That's very manipulative. In some cases, like in the case of this university I was telling you about, broad match is what ruined the results. You really need to know which match type is suitable in which kind of situation. So what we do with match types is we give, besides just entering the keyword in the Google Ads interface, we give an instruction of how well to match the keyword. So in the most tight situation, we're looking at an exact match, which means that the ad will only show when that search term is being searched, that is in the keyword. So for example, if we advertise for business school and it's an exact match, so with the square brackets around it, then it will only show for searches like business school and some things that have exactly the same meaning, like school of business. And so this is one way that you avoid sort of wasting budget on not so relevant terms. However, it also means that you have a relatively small market. I mean, there are only so many people in a day that are going to search for a term like business school. So that's why there is also phrase match, which will include all of the terms that are matched with the broad match, but it will expand the universe of keywords quite a lot. And you will write that with the quotation marks around the keyword, and that means that business school or something very similar to business school has to be part of the query. So now your ads will also show for things like best business school, NUS business school, or cheapest school of business. So you can already start to see that if you are not the cheapest, maybe this is also opening you up to a target group that might not be super relevant for you. But then on the other hand, you get to also be seen by a much larger group of people. So when to use this? This is usually what I start with, and then combine it with a list of negative keywords, which we'll come to later. So the very broadest way of targeting is broad match. And that means that your ads will show when the search phrase is somewhat related to the keyword. I actually wrote it wrong here on the slide. It shouldn't be search phrase, it's the same. For example, business school, right? As that's how you would write it without any quotation marks. And that's also the reason why many beginners in Google Ads, they will just enter the keywords that they found in their keyword research. And that means that everything they put in there is broad match. And now your terms, your ads may also show when people search for MBA, search for corporate training, search for management school, and which of course greatly broadens your world, which can be a good thing, but also it gives you there's a big chance that you actually get a lot of irrelevant clicks as well, which will waste your budget and also which will damage your credibility for your campaign. Your click-through rate won't be very good, so Google will eventually even show your ads on a lower position, even when they're relevant. You can use broad match to expand a successful campaign, but when you do that, there's one thing you need to keep in mind, and that is negative keywords. So what happens with negative keywords is that you can add particular phrases that once they are part of what people search, your ad is not going to show, such as, for example, free, if you are not free like most of us. Scholarship, I mean, you may offer some scholarships, but generally, the people that need the scholarship, you might not want them to just come and look for you because you have a scholarship. You would rather reach people through your outreach about the quality and the relevance of your programs and your university. And then when people really want to come and they need a scholarship, you might direct them there, but you don't want tons of scholarship related traffic, which is gonna clog your inbox with questions. Liechtenstein, if you're not in Liechtenstein like most of us. So for example, if I have scholarship as a negative keyword and someone searches business school with full scholarship, my ads won't show. So this is something you need to have developed very, very carefully before you even consider so-called upgrading, as Google calls it, to broad match. And you can find a lot of many negative keywords when you do your keyword research, but also when the campaign is running, you can actually see in Google under the search terms what search terms have made your ads to show, and so you can keep adding to this list, and by that your campaign will get more and more focused. And once that is in place, you can actually use the broad match. So back to our story from the beginning, right? The university that was so disappointed in their Google Ads campaigns. So one of the big differences that we made is that from the very beginning, we were very picky about how closely our ads should actually show, how closely related the searches would be to our keywords. And for the most part, at that time, we used modified broad match, which doesn't exist anymore, but it's the closest variant would be phrase match. And since the budget was quite small, we didn't really have to broaden it and kind of go and look for people at other places. We could just be happy with a couple of high quality clicks, pay quite a high price per click, but at least we would know that those would be the kind of people that were actually right then at that moment looking for a program that they actually had. So by getting your match types right, you are already an important step ahead of many other education institutions. But of course, to actually be successful with Google Ads as a recruitment tool, there are many things that have to work out, and everything has to be of a certain standard for you to actually reap the eventual success. So to put the full picture together, I wrote this book, Student Recruitment with Google Ads, and you can download it for free on my website, so I'll include the link in the description below. The only thing that you shouldn't follow from the book is the targeting and the match types there, because I'm describing a process called modified broad match, and that was recently retired by Google, so you can't use that anymore. So use the advice from this video. And if you want to always have a fully up-to-date insight into what works in Google Ads, then you could also purchase my e-course, which you'll find a link in the description as well. And that will give you access to worksheets and to videos where I break down the whole process step by step and guide you along.